Hello, this is Anna Pacheco, SantaFe101.com. My guest today is Ann Cortese, and she is with the Chamber of Commerce at Fort Sumner in Baca County. Ann, do I have your permission to record this interview?
Yes, you do.
Excellent. Well, good. So tell, if anyone's watching this interview right now, what the Chamber of Commerce does or could provide for businesses that are thinking of maybe coming to your area.
Well, Fort Sumner is located, first of all, 70 miles from the Texas border. So that's kind of our location. We're 160 miles south of Albuquerque, and we're a mostly agricultural community. We have about 1,000 citizens. And if someone's thinking about moving here, I think we do have a lot to offer. In fact, we got a call this morning that came into the chamber from a gentleman that lived in a nearby town, and he has a business there, but he would like for his family to live in Fort Sumner, and he's willing to do the hour commute just so that his children can go to a small school. And so we have a wonderful education system. We have a 97% graduation rate. Our students get a lot of extra attention, and they can compete with any large university or school that they'd really like to go to. I used to be a high school counselor, and I do college prep now for a foundation. And we're very competitive as far as being prepared educationally to send students out into large areas if that's where they want to go.
And you were saying that you're 70 miles from the Texas border. What would be the closest bigger city or town in Texas that you're close to?
Well, it would probably be Lubbock. Clovis is 60 miles from us. And then
Clovis is in New Mexico, though, right?
Or is there a Clovis? In New Mexico.
Okay.
Clovis, New Mexico. And then 9 miles from Clovis is the Texas border. So then Lubbock would be the largest.
And Lubbock is about 300,000 people, I think, more or less.
It is.
It's bigger than Albuquerque, or no, actually Albuquerque is bigger now, but it's a good sized city. So if people in Fort Sumner, if they were thinking of moving there, they could do their shopping in Lubbock if they want. If they needed a little bit of a bigger town to go shopping in, it's not that far away.
It's not that far. It's not that far. Roswell is 80 miles south of us. It's an easy commute there if they need larger stores. But as we were telling the gentleman this morning, Fort Sumner really has one of everything. It's not that we have several grocery stores or we have several lumber yards, but we have everything that someone needs. And then if they need to go beyond that, it's easily accessible.
And I'm just curious, this gentleman who called you this morning, what city or town is he thinking of commuting to and have his family in Fort Sumner?
He's thinking about going to Portales, which would be about 70 miles, 75 miles.
So he'd rather live in Fort Sumner than in Portales.
He'd rather live in Fort Sumner.
Okay. And so in terms of, you are a rural community, what type of businesses already exist in Fort Sumner?
Well, we have, of course, a ranching and farming is huge. We have a valley, an irrigated valley that's irrigated from the Pecos River that has the second oldest water right in New Mexico. So the water is very accessible to the farmers. It's very economically accessible, and they get a lot of water right each summer. They sell and grow some of the best alfalfa hay anywhere in New Mexico, probably comparatively to Colorado. So that's a main industry. We also have an air base that has a lot of potential. During World War II, it was an air base for gliders. So it has large runways. There's a potential for putting businesses out there, and it's still a viable, usable airport.
Is it functioning right now, or is it closed?
It is. It's functioning now. Mm-hmm.
So what type of businesses could be out there, do you think?
Well, it could be anything that needs large spaces. There could be hangars out there for any kind of refurbishing or manufacturing. That would be easily accessible. And the city is certainly willing to come alongside any kind of business that thinks that they might want to come into a small place and make a difference. In a small town, it doesn't take much to make a difference. And so I think that's what the gentleman was saying this morning too, that, he's willing to come into the community. His wife would like to be a part of a community, and she likes community service. And so this is what Fort Sumner is all about, is everyone chips in. And if something needs to be done, it's all hands on deck.
And at the chamber, are there programs in place where you, do you have like a package you put together for people that if they're thinking of moving there, you send them all types of information, or like a relocation package? That was the word I was thinking. Do you offer something like that?
We offer information. We don't have quite the package, but we have information. Our realtors in town keep us up to date on what's available. And that's availability in rentals in town, or things for sale, ranches or farms that are for sale. And then too, of course, anything that's businesses in town, if they're looking for help, if they need some extra resources, they will come to the chamber, and we offer that. I think one of the other things I wanted to mention is tourism. Now, as you know, Fort Sumner is the place where Billy the Kid was shot and killed. And so the Billy the Kid grave, which is just right outside the door of the Chamber of Commerce building, is visited by people all over the world. We have a sign-in sheet that people come and use, and international visitors are not uncommon. That site also sits on the land that's the Bosque Redondo Memorial, because Billy the Kid was killed on the Bosque Redondo Memorial site. Pete Maxwell owned that property at that time. And after the fort was disbanded, the Long Walk happened there. And that's how Fort Sumner grew out of that fort experience. And 8,000 Navajos were forced marched to Fort Sumner during that period of time and kept in incarceration for 3 years. And when they were allowed to walk back home, that's the Long Walk, Pete Maxwell bought those existing structures that were at the fort. He turned one of them into a personal home, and in that home was where Billy the Kid was killed. So the history intertwines itself in that area, and a lot of people come to see both of those attractions.
Yeah, I think the state actually put the Bosque Redondo Memorial together in 2005, and I guess many native. It was also the Mescalero Apache Indians. It was the Navajo.
Yes, 500 Mescalero Apache also.
And many of them, several died of either of disease or whatever exposure. Many Native Americans lost their lives. So I always say this because I do tours up here in Santa Fe. That up here in northern New Mexico, we have no memorials. To commemorate or to honor the Native Americans who lost their lives up in this area. But New Mexico now in this century has gotten a little better about, I guess, fessing up to what happened. And there is that down there. You said that the Billy the Kid grave is just out the door. How close are you to the cemetery? Your office?
Probably 100 yards.
Really? The cemetery is right there. So is it like, are you located like in the downtown area, or?
No, we're located in the valley, and it's located right by the military cemetery. And it was actually the cemetery he's buried in was the military cemetery. So those who perished during the time of the incarceration, they were buried in that cemetery first. And so the building that the chamber is in now actually was a museum at one time, and it mostly focused on Billy the Kid. And a few years ago, that museum moved out and the chamber moved into that building. So we're right by the gravesite.
And so you taught, I did a book last year, and there's a chapter called, I refer to, it's called Death Tourism. All around the world, people can go to different places, and it's something to see, but it's pertaining to death. But in terms of tourism, are there businesses that that would benefit, that Fort Sumner would benefit from if they came to town that they're related to tourism? Or what are some of the other areas? Because maybe if people are watching this, you know, a lot of people aren't going to be, they're not going to, I would assume that many are coming from the big cities. They're not going to want to start being farmers, or you know, they're looking for something that, you know, to a reason, you know, some type of a business. But I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking, what other types of businesses that could people start out there that would be, that you would welcome, the community would say, yeah, that sounds great, come on down. What other types of businesses?
Well, in the land of Zoom now, I think that just anything could really come here. We had a gentleman contact us yesterday who has a poster company, and he actually lives in Albuquerque. His rent is very high. It's $1,000 a month. And right now, because of COVID, and then also because of the area that his business is in, it's not real accessible because of construction. He said that he's looking to come to a place that he can sell his stuff online. Well, he could come to Fort Sumner and easily have a much larger facility for a few $100s a month. So I think that anyone who wanted to do anything that would be online sales, this would be a perfect place. You know, we have a great fiber optic system, and I think that the cost of living is low, and it's a friendly community that would encourage new business.
And then would you, do you already have like warehouses or bigger, you know, bigger spaces available already where somebody could come and, like a printing company? That sounds great. Or those type of, are those type of structures already in place, or would they have to build them? Or what would happen if somebody wanted to do, because, you know, even with online sales, you do have to have the brick and mortar.
I think there are some empty buildings that could certainly be utilized, and I'm sure that the landlords would be very glad to work alongside someone that was interested in putting in a business.
And then in terms of construction, you're saying that, you know, it's relatively, it's less expensive in your area, I guess, to build a warehouse or a business, you know, business structure probably wouldn't be as expensive as it would be, say, in Santa Fe or Albuquerque.
Oh no, it'd be a lot more profitable for sure.
Okay. And is your chamber doing anything to kind of get the word? I mean, hopefully this, you know, people will see this video and that's going to help you, but are you doing any type of marketing to people, like in, you know, other places, saying, hey, if you have an online business, have you thought about Fort Sumner? Have you done any type of work like that to get the word out?
We are just now starting that campaign, because we do realize now that there are a lot of people that don't want to live in the city anymore. And they find that they can work from another place, they can work from home. And so, yes, we're doing a campaign that's reaching out to some, you know, some larger businesses and some larger venues, and see if we can just advertise our way of life here, and our availability to work with new businesses.
Okay. And then you were, before we started this, we'd spoken about this, I guess, last week as well, but you kind of have an interesting, or your daughter has an interesting connection to Billy the Kid. So because this is a real estate website and these videos pertain to a lot about real estate, tell me a little bit about what is going on with this property your daughter recently purchased.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's just one of several what we call young couples that's moving back to Fort Sumner. You know, they've lived in larger cities. They've lived in Dallas. We have people who lived in Phoenix, and they're wanting to come back to Fort Sumner. And so she's also working online. But they recently purchased a 150-year-old adobe house that sits in the irrigated valley that I was talking about a while ago. And it was a house that it was a Brea house, which is related to the Maxwells. And Billy the Kid actually went to dances in this house at one time. So they purchased it, and they're getting ready to do a complete restoration on this adobe house. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
And when you say complete restoration, is it not livable at all right now? Is it just like a structure?
No, it's not livable at all. No windows, no doors. The floor has to come out. The ceiling has to come out. It has adobe walls. Is what it has.
But the adobe walls are in good shape. Those will stay.
Yes. Those will stay.
Okay. And are there experts or are there people in the area that can help with that type of restoration that know how to work with Adobe?
Well, they're looking at some. They've already got a contractor who's going to do a lot of the first initial work on it, and then there's just a lot of talented people in our area
Oh,
too
how exciting.
that will be able to come alongside.
Oh, and what type of business is your daughter in that she's working online these days? You don't have to name
She's
companies or
Yeah,
anything.
she does marketing and communications for a large business in Texas.
So that's another area people can come. They don't even have to have like an online, they can have a presence in your area, but they don't have to have like be selling things like posters or
No,
t-shirts. They can
no.
basically just they have a job, but it's all done. They have a home office and they can
Mhm.
work from Fort Sumner. Well, that's again, and so it's in so younger people are now coming back to your community.
We
And
have to.
that's what I always say, that what makes a community viable is that, younger people, they have children, they have little league, they start to continue, to build up the community. So it's not necessarily just retirement, but what about retirement? Is Fort Sumner a good place to retire?
Well, I would say that we do have quite a few retirees here. We have a wonderful little clinic here that does everything, but you can't spend the night there because it's in an old hospital that has been remodeled. But anyhow, it's a wonderful clinic that has a doctor and two PAs in it. We have a dentist that's in that building also. So if, I think medical needs are taken care of. We have a wonderful drugstore that's very amicable to our community and just works with the community in any way that they can.
And isn't your weather, I mean, I know I'm up here in the north, so we get hit harder. I mean, I'm saying that I'm looking out at a foot of snow right now, and you're saying you hardly have any. The weather's probably more attractive, or it's warmer than it is up here in the northern part of the state. So that probably would be more attractive to uh, retirees as well.
It is. It is. We get some snow in the winter. It's not that we don't get it, but it doesn't stay on the ground very long. And in the summertime, it gets warm, but it cools down almost every night. So we don't have that kind of heat that you have to live with all day long. When sun goes down, the temperature goes down.
And you don't have, I mean, I think I'm assuming you don't get humidity
No,
either. We don't have any humidity up here.
no, we're very dry.
So that's also another plus for Fort Sumner. Well, we're coming down to the end of the interview. Is there anything else you want to say about the chamber or about Fort Sumner that might pique the interest of somebody who's watching this interview about maybe they never, I mean, everybody wants to come to Santa Fe. This is my hometown, but a lot of people hadn't considered other counties of New Mexico. What else do you want to say about Baca County and why people should at least look at your area?
Mhm. Well, I'm real familiar with your area and it has a lot of history, and that's attractive to me. But our area has a lot of history also. At the same time, you can go all the way across town in 10 minutes. And so yes, that says something. If you need something, you can get it and get back home in 15 minutes. Just the availability of things that can be purchased almost immediately is still here. We have all the modern conveniences that someone else does because of the internet shopping. We can do that, of course, from here also. But the main thing it's just a really friendly atmosphere. It's a community that cares for each other. If someone has a problem, they come alongside. Yesterday there was a elderly lady that didn't have any heat. We had rolling blackouts yesterday, and her daughter, who lives in Dallas, got on we have a site called Remembering Fort Sumner on Facebook. Her daughter got on that site and said, "My mother does not have any electricity. Is there anyone who could bring her any firewood?" Well, people started bringing her firewood yesterday. They didn't even know her. And so by the end of the day, she had plenty of firewood.
Well, it sounds like
So,
a nice small town feel, kind of like growing up here in Santa Fe. It was definitely that nice small town, accommodating little town.
it is.
Oh, well,
It
good.
is. It's a good
Well,
place.
Well, you know, this interview hopefully will be up on my website later today with your contact details, and hopefully some people will consider you know, taking a look at Fort Sumner. And I want to thank you again. It's Mary Ann Cortese, and it's the Fort Sumner Chamber of Commerce. Any last words of wisdom before we end this interview?
Well, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.